on episode 10.
Wait, 10?
Yes,
Holy
this is our
crap.
10th interview. It's the 10th interview we've done in the last 2.5 days. And we just had a amazing walk down the history of tattooing with Brian Everett, as we always called, and as we learned in this previous episode, he's the godfather of Albuquerque tattooing because he knew something that nobody else knew. He was tattooing before it was legal. And, now we get to go to the next generation of the Everett home. We actually get to pull a talented tattoo artist out of his booth, willing to come over and chat with us and talk to us about tattooing today. We're sitting here with Dano Everett, Brian Everett's son, but also a talented tattoo artist who's doing his own thing. Thank you for coming over here, brother. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you for having me, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you. 10 tattoo or 10 interviews today. That's what's up. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're killing it. So, and getting killed in the process. And we're happy to have you, brother, because we've been interviewing a lot of people on a plethora of things. And we've talked about permanent cosmetics. We've talked about the process of injection versus insertion. We've talked with regulators. We talked about manufacturing. We've talked about the old school tattooing, but now we're talking about tattooing today. And I think it's a great perspective to get from you because you're a newer 6 years tattooing, right?
Yep.
Which is, not brand new, but newer. And you didn't do it. You learned from an old school way of doing it, right? You did it right.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your journey. What was growing up with your dad as Brian and then getting involved?
I grew up with tattooing and tattooing so much around me.
Yeah.
It wasn't, as much of like a stigma. I wasn't necessarily that 15-year-old kid that like had the itch. So I was like, I need to go get tattooed. Because, being at the shop, being in that environment wasn't anything, new to me.
Yeah.
We went to the shop all the time. We've had our shop since the 80s in Albuquerque. Obviously, you've been there. So, it was really cool. And, once I started getting tattooed, the itch just, grew from there. And, that was kind of when my dad's career was kind of transitioning into a different aspect, less tattooing, more, kind of what you do, being a face for the industry, talking a lot. And eventually I got the itch and, started working hard and worked with him a lot. And, he was my original mentor. He showed me, the ropes and, working at a tattoo shop since a really young age, you got to see, who makes it and who doesn't. It was very clear the type of artist and the type of apprentice that turns into a master, turns into a very talented artist. And you got to see the ones that come and go. So, I was lucky enough coming into the industry and coming into the tattooing aspect of it that I already knew what I wanted to be. And, with, the last name that I have, I didn't really have a choice. It was like, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it. I have to really sell out and put everything I have into it, So, I worked with him for a number of years, then, a very talented, very awesome artist named Lord Pablo. I started working with him in Long Beach, California, and Clown Stravida. I was really blessed to work in a shop called The Beast in Long Beach, California. Apprentice there with Lord Pablo, Clown Stravida, and Jake Mashri. 3 wildly talented tattoo artists. And, they kind of got to show me the ropes. I worked with them a lot. Still was in constant contact with my pops, going over tattoos, breaking it down, and, just slowly learning and breaking through, my apprenticeship.
That's awesome, man. When I was in high school, I worked for my dad's company, which I was, 16, 17, 18 at the time. But I would go to work, and it's a manufacturing company, and I would go to work and feel like I have something to prove to everybody else there that I didn't get the job because I'm my dad's son.
100%.
Yeah. So is that what it's like for you? Like you've got kind of extra, like you have to go above and beyond.
It feels like, there's not a choice. Clearly you understand it because, like, I didn't want to, like, be places just because, of my last name or, whenever I enter into competitions, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, like, because honestly, the only shows I do are, my dad's shows, they're my favorite shows. I think they really are the best in the world. I've done a couple other in different countries and, him and Tramp and him and Bale, really know how to put on like the best shows. And I also, being a young artist, I do really want to enter into competitions and like have my work be seen. And that's the same thing with where I want everyone to think without a fraction of a doubt, like I won because of the work, not because of maybe they knew who did it or, you know, they knew my dad or anything like that. So exactly. Yeah, you hit it.
I'm wondering, like, you saw tattooing from, you know, a young age. So you had these kind of expectations, I'm sure. But then coming into tattooing over the last 6 years, or I guess you've been tattooing for 6, so we'll say 7 years for apprenticeship, right? I see tattooing as very different than it was when I started.
Yeah.
So what's been the big challenge that was kind of unexpected from what you saw the tattoo industry growing up?
You know, I think the thing that we all have in our pockets right now, you know, our phones, Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram changed everything. You know, when I was growing up, you know, we were the OG shop in town, and, you know, you could come and work for us, and so many artists did that didn't have any clientele.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't know anyone even in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And, you know, because of, you know, the shop's representation and my pops' name, you know, they grow a clientele. We just do a bunch of walk-ins, you know. You walk into a shop and you hear, you know, I love that you guys are next to a coil machine, so you can have this in the video. But, you know, you hear coils all day. And now, you know, you got to market yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be a face. You have to, you know.
Yeah, you're a brand.
You're a brand. Exactly. You know, and even outside of that, you know, you're selling a lot more than a tattoo now. Like, you know, cool, you do a dope piece of art, but, you know, are you going to enjoy your time? Is your client going to want to come back to you? You know, you're selling an experience.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, you could be a fucking asshole. You didn't have to fucking be nice to your clients.
We know a lot of them that were.
Yeah, totally. You know, what the fuck are you going to do? But
Yeah,
now
tattoo
it's like,
shop.
yeah. Now it's like, no, they have options.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just you. And even if you're amazing, you know, there's 10 other amazing artists. What are you going to do to set yourself apart? You know,
So
and
we keep seeing that come up, that idea that we are in a period of relationship building as artists.
Yeah,
That's what we're
100%.
doing now,
Yep.
where we didn't have to before.
Yeah.
If we're going to survive as career artists, we've got to be ready to build relationships, turn clients into friends.
100%. I absolutely agree. And thankfully, I feel it works. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of my clients I've become great friends with, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's kind of just, I don't want to say scary. That's not the right word, but I like put myself in your shoes and think about, like, do you feel that you have to follow your dad's footsteps, or how hard is it to blaze your own trail, as we called him a trailblazer? And at the same time, do you separate yourself from him and stand on your own, which I see you doing in a way, right?
Yeah, you know, and I think that's like $1 million question,
Yeah.
you know, because like trying to blaze your own trail and do something new that hasn't been seen before in this industry now is almost impossible.
Yeah.
You know, you have so many artists doing so many crazy different things that, you know, a part of me, absolutely, you know, I kind of do my own style, you know, a very West Coast style, which I love that, you know, he did too, you know, him with learning from Jack Rudy, and, you know, Jack Rudy being such an influence in his life and in my life, you know, there's a lot of, you know, picking up, you know, like kind of passing the baton a little bit. And, you know, I like to kind of look at it like I want to learn from what he did and kind of just branch off. You know, absolutely my own thing, but, you know, last names are our last names for a reason, you know, and I want to be able to, you know, represent mine to the best of my ability, and, you know, and just kind of carry it on, you know.
There's kind of a correlation with it, and it's like wealth, generational wealth, and that meaning like typically those who obviously build their wealth, they appreciate it, and then they say the next generation can see it being built, right? You're being born and raised in it, you appreciate it, and so you want to pick up that legacy and take it forward. And with everything that's going on in the industry today, you know, like not just doing good tattoos, but what is it like? Is there anything that Dano sees that he can contribute that's a little bit more building onto that legacy?
You know, honestly, I would say the biggest thing I've seen as a young tattoo artist who has been wildly spoiled with tattoo history, it's the tattoo history aspect. You know, I'm getting like really kind of irritated with a lot of these apprentices and how apprentices are kind of being done that like don't know any of the culture that they want to use. Like I'll see these apprentices be like, oh, I want to do fine line tattoos, I want to do single needle, and I'm like, oh yeah, like Jack Rudy, and they're like, who? And I'm like, come on, bro, like what do you mean who?
You don't know where you came from.
Yo, the Brian Everett, who? Yo, Freddie Negrete, who? And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean who? So honestly, and it's something I've thought about a lot, and that's something, shout out to Bale.
Yeah.
Bale has pushed tattoo history so hard, and I think that's probably the best contribution that you could have, to the entire industry, is making all these people come who are profiting off the industry know where it came from,
Yeah, I think it's great too, coming from a younger person too, because a lot of us older tattooers are like, don't forget your history, and it's like, whatever, Dad. Now it's like that's your peer saying that, right? That you're able to kind of connect with people on the same level. You know what I mean? And I love hearing that. I think it's amazing, especially you having a strong, solid apprenticeship. Not going through the quick and easy route, right?
Yes. You got to earn it.
Yeah.
And even I tell whenever we have apprenticeships that I'm like, yo, you guys gotta, this isn't just your job. This isn't a job. This is your life.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to make it your life, then I don't think you deserve to be in the industry. You deserve to be a part of this. You have to give in to be able to take. And I think that's where the history comes in, because a lot of these kids are like, oh, you're being a dick, bro. And it's like, okay, well, you don't understand the history of apprenticeships, because I'm actually being really nice. I'm being cool. Yeah, right. I haven't slapped you. You're already almost tattooing. A lot of back in the day, it would be like, yo, 3 years of you don't even get to fucking look at a machine.
Yeah.
You're gonna clean those toilets for 3 years. You know what I mean? And it's hard. And I feel like there's a lot of greed just in the world in general. But I feel like that kind of has came into our industry, where a lot of people are looking at what they can take from the industry versus what they can give back to the industry, And I think it is cool you're doing a lot of interviews and doing stuff like this, because a lot of these perspectives need a voice, because I'm sure you hear it going around talking to old head tattoo artists that are saying this, or even younger tattoo artists that are saying this. But when we just say it to each other, no one's no one's watching. This is giving the industry a really cool platform. I like that. Shout out to both of you guys. That's fucking awesome.
We appreciate that. We were talking earlier about we're reaching out to all these people that have been doing this for so long, and so we wanted to get perspective from someone who's a little bit more fresh in the industry than we are, and then most people that we're interviewing. But you're echoing the same shit that so many other people have said.
Sure.
Right? So when you say this has to be your life, it has to be your passion, you can't tiptoe in it. We just heard the same thing from your dad. We heard the same thing from Mike Chambers earlier. It's if it's resonating among somebody who's been tattooing for 6 years, as well as somebody who's been tattooing for 50 years, it's really something important that we got to pay attention to it.
And it's a culture.
It is. You got to be a part of the culture.
And to keep the culture and to, give it justice is to keep it, moving through the generations, through all of us.
Yeah. Well, we've for a long time referred to it as the tattoo industry, but I never really thought of it that way. That might be how we describe it, but really it's the tattoo culture. If we forget the culture, I feel like then we really do become the tattoo industry.
I agree.
Because it's just, this is our job. This is how we make money.
I agree.
It's,
and it even scares me sometimes seeing these major industries coming in and buying everything. It's cool, and I'm really proud of all the companies that we're able to sell and do really good. That's super dope. But at the same time, it's I don't want us to turn into a stock number, or on this
the corporatized tattoo.
Exactly.
Tattoo Walmart.
Exactly. 100%. I fucking hate Walmart. I don't want this to be that. It's even when Amazon started selling supplies. That's when it was like, oh.
We were talking about that earlier,
oh, okay. All right. And then now you can get a machine anywhere. And it's like, okay. And, also, power to everyone who did learn at home, I know a ton of some of my favorite artists, have started tattooing at home. But they embrace the culture as well. Juan Taylor is one of my favorite artists in the world. He started tattooing at home. But I would say of the younger generations of especially that style, he represents the culture better than anybody, So it doesn't even necessarily mean, you can only tattoo if you do your 3-year apprenticeship. But, accepting the culture and coming into the culture and giving back, You know, it's needed.
Respect that used to be the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, if you come into it in a way and you still do your due diligence,
Yes.
you still find
100%.
about the history, you still invest into it and give yourself to it.
And I think that even doubles back to what I was saying. You know, the best thing we could give back is, you know, also like content. You know, content for these apprentices so they can know. You know, it's like the Tattoo Nations documentary. That's an awesome one. You know, I think I've told 40, 50, 60 apprentices, like, have you watched Tattoo Nations?
Yeah.
Tattoo Nations, I'm like,
Yeah.
Amazon, go watch it.
It's there.
That is tonight's homework. You know, that's some history. So I think like more documentaries and more, you know, sitting down and interviewing the old school generation, you know, people like my pops, Jack, you know, Tramp, all these amazing artists, you know.
And when we were in Norfolk for the AFTO conference, was last June, I think, June or July. I sat down at a table with your dad and Kathy Monty and her husband Bill, and just sat down and we kind of hit a lull in the conversation. And I just looked at him and I was like, "Can you guys just talk? I just want to listen.
Sure.
Like, tell me about the world that you came from. I want to hear it all." And I felt so fortunate to be in that situation. And I always feel like when I tell the story, I name drop because I'm like, yeah, I was sitting there with Brian Everett and Kathy Monty and people that have been tattooing for 40, 50 years. Right. So but I do feel like importance in that, right? I feel like I'm sitting there like if I were to go talk to my grandpa, right, and listen to his stories of the war.
Absolutely.
Right.
And this double back is like, it's like, you know, the respect and love of the grandpa, but it's also the respect and love of your industry. You know, it's something that you're so emotionally invested, financially invested, you know, it's everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is one thing, you know, I want to try and do more. Like I want to, you know, I've never made a documentary, but, you know, find someone to help and, you know, make some documentaries and really get the old perspective and, you know, blow it up, you know?
Definitely.
But they'd be able to take it and then modify in a way that this newer generation can appreciate and digest it. And so moving forward right now, like I know that you're, you know, 6 years in. Like what are some plans right now that that Dano has for his career? Like what it's on the horizon for you, brother?
You know, I think my biggest thing that I've been focusing on lately is, you know, trying to master my craft.
Yep.
You know, I do kind of a West Coast black and gray realism, you know, all falls under, you know, the lowrider, Jose Lopez style, which is, you know, an awesome style, a lot of fun, but it's very hard to master. And, you know, seeing artists like Clowns Ravia and Jose Lopez and the homie Abiru out of South Korea and seeing how it has expanded, you know, I really want to master my craft. I would love to, like we just now were kind of stating, you know, do something to kind of show the next generation as well, you know. You know, I'm tattooing out of my pops' shop in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you know, even with that, you know, I have our big banner up. I want to, you know, being a kid from, you know, small New Mexico, I'm sure you know, it also feels really good to go out and travel and be able to put, you know, Albuquerque on the map a little bit. You know, I take a lot of pride in where I'm from. You know, I love Albuquerque. I know you're still there, you know, and I would love to, you know, get a lot better and be able to show a lot of people that, you know, no matter where you're from, if you have that heart and dedication, you can really, you know, make something out of yourself and, you know, put where you're from on the map.
Yeah. One of the things that Ben and I were talking about wanting to bring in a younger tattooer is that, you know, we're talking to all these older guys. We're older guys who've tattooing 20 plus years. What can we learn from you about the struggles of your generation to help us kind of understand your perspective on things?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I knew that was going to get you.
Yeah, that one is interesting because it is different. I think a little bit of it is, you know, understanding like how I need to find a client and how I'm going to approach finding a client is going to be a lot different than how you did maybe the majority of your career. Maybe now we still do it the same, but you know, it is a lot different. How I find my clients now is, you know, I get obviously in Albuquerque, I get a lot of word of mouth because that's where I'm from. And, you know, obviously the shop's established. But if I do want to do a trip, you know, out here to Detroit or, you know, I go to New York at least 2-3 times a year or Miami, I got to kind of go find my own clients. And how I have to do that is, you know, with Instagram. you know, have people see my Instagram, do promotions, and you know, it's just interesting because it is really different. It's not the same, you know. It's not Brian Everett going to a shop where it's like the whole town's like, oh, Brian Everett's coming. Now it's, you know, it's different. I don't know how I would necessarily explain it to an older cat, but I don't know. That is a hard question.
I think you hit it though.
But I guess, yeah.
Like when I started tattooing, it was like, I mean, we didn't even have I didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah, sure.
So,
it's a better time.
yeah. But I mean, we relied on people coming in. I had cards in my pocket at all times, and I would go to the bar. I was in the military at the time, so you know, just hand my card to everybody I possibly could.
And I still try to do that one.
But most people don't.
Yeah.
Anymore, right? Because
I do agree.
Yeah, because you kind of started out with Instagram and TikTok and whatnot. That was very different for us.
Sure.
Right. So.
And I like that you say that because I do like that aspect too. I mean, I've got clients from Taco Bell drive-thrus before,
man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the lady behind the window saying, "Oh, I love your tattoo." Well, I'm glad. Here you go.
100%. That's exactly how it was. He's like, oh, it's a cool town, man. I'm like, yeah, a tattoo out here. He's like, yo, you doing anything tomorrow? I was like,
tattooing you.
Tattooing you, man. Let's do it. And sure as shit, we did.
Yeah.
But, you know, and that's where, you know, again, you know, having the knowledge of, you know, how people did it before you can still be, you know, utilized. Because even though I get most of my clients via Instagram, that doesn't mean, you know, going out and handing out cards and, you know, being that face and, you know, having to go door to door. Doesn't still work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like the merge of the two generations.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that you said that, and I can appreciate that because if you got 10,000, 200,000 followers on Instagram, you're going to tattoo all of them? Probably not, right? It's going to be it's going to be the people in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Right? It's the people in your streets, people in your community. And then I love the thing though, and I've really like to extract that you said being able to do ads and advertising when you do go to shows and learning, you know, the new processes of like how to target an area and promote in that specific space, right? Like these are things that maybe even a lot of tattoo artists today, but even especially the older generation doesn't recognize that you can target a space and talk to the people in that community, right?
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
I say that to a lot of people, and I'm like, yo, I can't book, dog. Like, I've been having a hard time, or even when we get new artists at our shop, and I'm like, well, have you promoted?
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you can, exactly what you're saying. Like, you know, you can actually promote on Instagram and like do a target audience in a small space and like have them see your work.
Yeah. See, I don't even do that.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, you can.
I got all these followers, and then I post a picture, and I'm like, yes, everybody's gonna love this, and it gets like 10 likes. See, and I get so defeated. But I don't understand it anymore.
See, but that is a weird thing, and that's actually something me and my pops had a lot. And he gets on me because, you know, I'm really hard on myself. Yeah. You know, when I see my work, like a lot of times I won't even post things, and I'll show it to my pops. I'm like, oh, and he's like, why the fuck isn't this on your Instagram, dude? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't really like it. But then it's funny because, yeah, I'll post something like I put my heart and soul into. Like, I spent 3 days on this tattoo. I have 30 hours into it. And same, it gets like 10 likes, 2 comments. And then I'll post this little tattoo I did in 5 minutes. It gets 300 likes, 40 comments. And it's like,
word star.
Yeah, exactly. That infinity symbol came out incredible, you know? And I think that's a really interesting part of the industry too, you know?
It hurts.
It does hurt. And honestly, I think, you know, even just with like where we are as a society and technology and everything, like, you know, Instagram has these weird algorithms, you know? It's not necessarily like, you know, I have a lot of pieces I've been like, or I've been at a convention and someone comes over and they're like, yo, I didn't see that piece. Like, when did you do that Plague Doctor, dude? And I'm like, yo, I did it like last month. And they're like, I never saw it.
Yeah, went
right
like, past them.
Yeah, I'm like, you follow me, right? And they're like, yeah, I normally see your stuff. Didn't see that one. Yeah. But, and I think that's where even just like having a community, like, so when I do a post that I know I really want outreach on, I'll, you know, get in my group chat with my family. I'll get in my group chat with my friends and I'm like, yo, go like and comment.
Yeah.
Or when I post it, you'll have to tell people, like and comment on my photo.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if your photo has 40 comments, it's going to get promoted.
Yeah.
You know, more people are going to see it because of the algorithm. And I think that's also a great thing that would be a hard thing to describe to an old school tattoo artist. Like, not only when I post things, I need to make sure that I am working with the algorithm to be seen.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that's like completely unheard of from, you know, the older generation, like an algorithm.
Well, even if you got a tattooer who's been tattooing for say 20 years and they're booked up 6 months, they don't have to do that stuff. They built their clientele locally. So it's really hard to wrap your mind around, well, you as a new tattooer, you have to dedicate a significant portion of your time to understanding that and doing it. I sit back and I look at all these people doing videos and I just get mad. And I'm like, why are you posting that stupid video? Just put a picture of your tattoo. But it's like, I need to consider it from your perspective that it's necessary for you.
And it sucks because it is a double-edged sword, because I've done the same thing where I'm like, dude, this is like the corniest fucking video I've ever seen. Like, what are you doing? And at the same time, I'm like, this dude's just trying to feed his family. Like, this dude's just trying to get enough tattoos booked that he's not worried about paying his rent this month. And that's where it's like, you know, and that's where, you know, it also at the same time like hurts the industry, because like Instagram is, you know, pushing corny material, you know, and they're pushing like corny stuff that like people who really respect the industry. Like, yo, today I saw one, it was a video of, what was it? Ink and sip. You've heard of paint and sips. There's a fucking place doing ink and sips now. And it's like, oh, everybody, we had our wine. And it was like this cute ass Instagram video. The girl did a great job making it. It's like, yeah, we got our wine glasses, and now they gave us our tattoo machine, and they have this liner for lining. And it was just like,
to tattoo your partner.
And it was so frustrating because, like, for me, you know, even like to be able to tattoo fake skin or to tattoo anything, like, that's something you earned. I earned that.
Yeah.
I didn't just go pick up a machine and like immediately in my apprenticeship and was like, oh, I'm gonna tattoo fake skin today. No, I had to wait until they were like, you know, you've put in enough that we're going to start working with you on fake skin on how to do it properly. You know, you need to take this shit serious. You know, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours into just fake skin. And, you know, and I cherish those memories, and I cherish those fake skins because I still have them. I frame them, you know, they're awesome pieces of artwork. And like, I don't know, I feel like stuff like that like takes away so much from the culture. It's frustrating. Yeah, totally what you were saying. I felt the same way on my phone this morning.
It's great to see a new tattooer, newer tattooer, feeling that, man.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's almost like, even though we may look at it and say like, oh, it's why you guys younger generation doing this, you're feeling the same way. You're like, why is this happening? Yeah. So maybe it's not even coming from the younger generation. It's just something about algorithms, something about the way that the culture is being attracted to things that really like reality TV, right? It's like watching a train wreck. You can't help but not look at it. Like ink and sip. Like, why would you want to? Oh, well, I want to see what they're gonna do now. You know.
Yeah, and then I think you're dude, nailed it. And I watched the full fucking video. I even think I commented something angry, like this is dumb as hell. They got a full watch out of me and a comment.
Well, see, this is great about why we need to bring not just tattooers together, but generations of tattooers together.
Yes.
Right? Like, are you an APT member?
I don't know if I am.
Oh man,
I don't know if I am. We'll fix it. We'll fix that right now.
All right, we need to get you in.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. Yeah, and it is generations, because having them see it and see it from a different perspective, and what you said from a different standpoint. Like, we could put all this information into a book. Ain't no fucking apprentice gonna read that book. Like, no, you got to put it on Instagram or on YouTube or, you know, different ways. So yeah, you nailed that too as well, you know? Yeah.
Well, cool, brother. I mean, thank you so much for coming over and sit down. I feel like some of the nuggets that a younger tattooer could take from this is that there's time-tested ways to do things, but you can use those time-tested ways and modify them. Like, still having business cards in your pocket while you're still promoting on Instagram, of course, but make sure that while you're on that Instagram video that you can actually still, you need to take that video and, like going out and handing a business card, share it with your friends and request them to engage with it, request them to like it, request them to share it, right? To actually get algorithms to work for you. That way you can do that kind of virtual word of mouth kind of, you know, handshaking. And then again, just, it's great to hear. I mean, you got such a good perspective, right? To put in, what you put in is what you get out, right? If you want to have a great career, you know, even today, you got to put in the sweat equity. 100%. You got to put it in if you want to get something from it. 100%. And you're already starting to experience that now in your career. So,
yes. And you know, it's kind of cool too, because you see it even here when there's like these crazy artists who are so good, but they don't talk to anybody. And it's like, dog, you know, you're almost there. You got the work there, but like,
you're missing one component.
Yep. Now you got to come hang out. Yeah. Now you got to be cool too. You know, there is more to it. You got to go say what up to all the, you know, the OGs and the people that came before you, you know? And that's one thing I do like about conventions. It forces you, because you could
pushes
be,
you in.
you could be the coolest artist in the world in your little town, but if you ain't coming to these conventions and if you're not talking to people,
Yep.
it's a little different. Even if you have 1 million followers, you could have 1 million followers, be Instagram famous all you want.
Yeah.
Come here and not a single person know who you are.
Yeah. You're not part of the community, you're not part of the culture.
Yeah. So yeah, I think community.
Love it.
I think that's what we nailed on this one.
That's great.
yeah.
We need to keep working on our community, and my generation especially, because you guys are already doing it and doing your
Give them a call out, man. Tell them what to
fucking
do.
our turn.
Yeah.
Get in the industry, homie.
Yeah.
Be a part of it.
Well, you're talking about being a leader. You're talking about being a leader in that area. How could people get a hold of you to learn more about you? How connect you with this?
My Instagram is Dano_Everett. And hopefully I can do some more stuff like this. We're both in Albuquerque, get a lot of other young artists. I know Porvita has a lot of others that we could exactly do this and do nights and stuff and make content to, teach people, educate.
Cool.
But yeah, thank you guys for having me. That was
Thanks,
cool.
brother.
Thank you,
That
Dano.
was fun.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank
So
you.
good to meet you.